Maybe we can get out 30 seconds early. Welcome, everyone, to our May Day board meeting tonight. We are glad that all of you could make it, and happy to have you here with us. If I get the right agenda, this will even go smoother, won't it? We're going to start out tonight with a special musical performance. Mason Stevens from Sandridge Junior High School will be singing Homeward Bound, and he's going to be accompanied by his mother, Amanda Stevens. And then following that presentation, Mason will all stand, and Mason will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay? Go ahead.
Morning, when the moon has gone to bed, when the sparrows stop their singing, and the sky is clear and red, when the summer ceased its gleaming, when the corn is past its prime, when adventure's lost its meaning, I'll be homeward bound in time. Bind me not to the pasture, chain me not to the plough. Set me free to find my calling, and I'll return to you somehow. If you find it's me you're missing, if you're hoping I'll return to your thoughts, I'll soon be listening, and in the road I'll stop and turn. Then the wind will set me racing as my journey nears its end, and the path I'll be retracing as I'm homeward bound again. Bind me not to the pasture, chain me not to the plough. Set me free to find my calling, and I'll return to you somehow. Bind me not to the pasture, chain me not to the plough. Set me free to find my calling, and I'll return to you somehow. In the quiet, misty morning, when the moon has gone to bed, when the sparrows stop their singing, and the sky is clear and red, when the summer ceased its gleaming, when the corn is past its prime, when adventure's lost its meaning, I'll be homeward bound in time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Excuse me, Mason, that was awesome. What a strong voice for a young man at Sandridge Junior High. Awesome. Let's give him another hand, please. And your mother slipped out, but make sure you tell her thanks again, too. Okay? Thank you. Well done. Well done. Board, you've had the opportunity to review the items on the consent calendar. I'd look for a motion to Doug. Jan, second. Any discussion on any of those items? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Let's see, let's do some year-end recognitions. This will be fun. Kurt Swalberg, let's start there.
All right. President Whittison, Board, Superintendent Butters, I am super excited to be here tonight. This is one of my most favorite things to do. Other than hanging out with young people and hanging out with kids, I love to honor teachers because what they do for kids is just so amazing. And tonight, I get to introduce you and we get to honor one of our great first-year teachers, Krista Larson. Please come up, Krista. So while she's coming up here, when you meet somebody, you know, you get these impressions. And from the time that I first met Krista, she has that it factor. You know, it's hard to recognize, you know, and explain what it is, but when you see it, you know it. And when you walk around in her classroom, you know it. You know that you've got something special here. You've got an amazing educator who loves kids. So let's get to know Krista just a little bit. So let me picture this for you. This is on Mrs. Larson's door. The future of the world is in this classroom. Mrs. Larson, and what you can't probably read very well, it says, this class is going places. Think about that. As you walk in every day in your classroom, you have already this impression built into your mind, I am the future of the world. I am this great person that's going to go places. And that's what she instills in her students. And that's just the start of walking into her classroom. Then when you get in there, it's even better. So her principal, Chrissy Hancock, said, if I didn't know she was a first-year teacher, I would never have believed it. Everything Krista does shows a high level of skill, drive, and style. I like that word, style. The moment you walk into her room, you can tell it is a great place to be. From the classroom setup to the interaction she has with students, Krista makes her room feel like a safe and engaging place to learn. And that is so true. So look, let's get to know the class just a little bit. This is her fun class, and I do know each and every one of these classes because Krista is a sixth grader. I forgot to mention she's a sixth grade teacher at Far West Elementary, where I used to be a principal at, and I know each one of those kids in that picture, and they are a fun and lively, as you can tell, group. And she does have her hands full, but they are amazing. Just love them. Just love them. That's what makes them so fun. And you see Krista right in the middle, and that's how she is each and every day, engaged right in the middle, right elbow to elbow, working side by side with these amazing kiddos. Krista's passion for teaching is evident in everything she does. She goes above and beyond to ensure that her lessons are engaging, informative, and tailored to meet the diverse needs of her students. And that was from Mrs. Rumsey, the instructional coach there. And that, again, too, is so true, too. Meeting the needs of each individual. It's not just meeting, it's getting them on their level, what they need specifically in all different avenues. From some of the parents in her class, Holly Stoker, I have been really impressed with Mrs. Larson. She is kind and respectful to her students, and she expects the same in return. She has fun with her class, yet she holds them accountable, something that I feel is very important. She has a good balance of hard work and having fun. We have been really blessed to learn from her this year. The Rasmussen said, Mrs. Larson has been absolutely wonderful. We're so grateful we were blessed to have her as his teacher this year. She was positive and valuable addition to the staff at Far West Elementary. Thank you doesn't even begin to express our gratitude. A couple more parents. Stacy White, everyone needs a teacher like Mrs. Larson's, and I would agree with that. She's given Kyler so much confidence in the short amount of time. He feels loved and important in class. She's made him feel like his presence is needed and that he can be a leader. She's put her heart and soul into this job, and you can see it. These kids are so incredibly lucky to have a teacher that cares as deeply as she does about teaching them. And Katie Price, it's a special kind of gift to give parents, to provide a peace of mind that their children are as safe as possible at school with a teacher who understands their quirks and loves them for them. I've never once worried about how Gibby will feel in the classroom, and that's such a weight off our shoulders as parents. Now I'm just sad I don't have any more kids to come through to have her as a teacher. And that's just, again, some great compliments from parents. As you see in her room, she also she has this little brag wall where she can brag about her kids and all the great and wonderful accomplishments that they have. They have some individuals, but they also have some class awards. And they put them up there to celebrate all the wonderful things that's going on in Mrs. Larson's classroom. So we were able to go out to the school, and so we were able to get some good information. What I like about my teacher. So here you have it. Makes learning fun. She always supports us and is never disappointed. She always wants us to try our best. A few more. What I like best about my teacher, wants us to succeed. Always happy, always comforting. So now you can see, here's the true colors of the class. As you can see, there are pictures coming out in their fun and lively group. And this is the most important. What I like best about my teacher, she lets us eat snacks. She is chill and has good vibes. So if anybody's wondering how you become the first Teacher of the Year award, it's this right here. You have to let them eat snacks in your class, and you have to be chill and have good vibes. You got that? Everything else is downhill. So in conclusion, I hope this sounds a little weak, so I hope it works out for us here. If you guys want to go ahead and play that for us.
She's the most amazing teacher I've ever met. I think we better end with that. I know.
So the question was, what do you like best about your teacher? And one of the students said, she is the most amazing teacher she has ever met. And the great words of our great Superintendent Butter, she said, we're going to end with that. So, board, superintendent, I present to you the elementary first year teacher award recipient, Krista Larson.
Thank you. This is where I introduce my family? Yeah. Well, I'm an old starter is what I like to tell people. I spent a lot of my younger years raising my family and putting the needs of my family and my husband first. And one of the blessings of COVID was I was able to actually go back to school because it allowed my husband to work from home. And I was able to pursue a lifelong dream that I've always had of becoming a teacher. And so this whole thing is a huge honor for me. So thank you very much. I've got 4 kids. I've got Hadley, who's in 9th grade at Walquist. I have Olivia. Oh, stand.
Yeah, stand or wave or something.
This is my doppelganger or my twin, but she's in 9th grade. She's a lot younger than I am. Olivia she actually gets to be in my class, and that has been an amazing gift. I was a little worried at first, but it's been an amazing experience. Owen is in 4th grade, and Harper is in 1st grade. And that's also my husband of, I think, 17 years? 17 years, yes. And that's Michael, and that's my beautiful family. And my parents are also here, so I have a great support system.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying. Hopefully I'm still chill next year.
Will you give a shout out to the foundation and Tony DeFino, who is responsible for the cash award? Yeah. Let's give him a shout out, maybe when we're done.
Matt Williams, please.
President Whittison and Superintendent Butters, Board, of all the presentations that I have got to do this year, this is my favorite one by far, right? Although junior high football is really close.
Yeah.
So, not even close, sorry. Was that too soon still? We get to honor some great people. I wanted to first start off by excusing Principal Morris. Principal Morris had a family emergency with his dad tonight, so he's not here. So Taylor, I apologize. So it's my pleasure to go ahead and switch over if you would, Trent, to talk to you and present to you the first year teacher of the year for secondary education, and that is Miss Taylor Shinny from the Snowcrest Skyhawks. Come on up, Taylor. I want to start by telling you a little bit about Taylor's job. So Taylor is the band, orchestra, and choir teacher at, I keep saying Skyview, at Snowcrest. And so she teaches all three. She has a love for music, but I believe you're just really a band teacher, but you're doing it all. And so as we got to see some of her classes and see her in action, you can tell that she has a love for teaching, one, and that she's willing to take on anything and everything for her kids. And as we get to see some of the comments that the kids make about her, that's what they love about her. So Principal Morris said, from our first interview with Taylor, it was evident that she possessed a natural gift for connecting with students and instilling in them a deep appreciation for music and for pushing them just enough to get their best efforts. He also said that Miss Shinny has doubled and even tripled since the time of this quote that he wrote, the number of students in her classes. And at a junior high, especially our smallest junior high, what a difficult thing that is. There's very limited kids, and they have to choose elective classes, which all three of these are. So I want to paint this picture of what an amazing job she's doing up at Snowcrest for our kids. I went up there yesterday and I took some pictures, and the first one on the left shows the door as you walk in, and you can't really see the sign that's on the right door, but what does that sign says?
Welcome to your favorite class.
That's right. Welcome to your favorite class, right? And they were in there practicing. And if you see Taylor on the right here, Taylor's playing the drums. So as I walked in, I was going to play a little piece for you and put her really on spotlight. But she was in there playing the drum, keeping the orchestra class set, pace, and just having a good time. So, and then we took a couple pictures of the class there. Here's a few things our students said about her, and this was fun, right? So they were the kids that I just showed you. I said, tell me about your teacher. And the first young lady said, she takes our recommendations on what music to play, and we like that. Right now we're playing Jurassic Park, and so they appreciated that. The next one said, Miss Shinny doesn't yell at us a ton. And I like that. The one young man said that, of course. So that's a positive, right? What's that? Chill. Yeah, doesn't yell at us a ton. The next young lady said, she's the best teacher in our school, and with just energy and excitement. One of the other kids said Miss Shinny has a strong and fun personality. The next kid said her class is fun. And then the last kid said she's a very, very good teacher. So high regards from her classes. I asked Miss Shinny what her favorite part of the job was, and she said, of course, working with kids. I think they're great. I love my students. And you could tell as she was working with the kids in the orchestra class, teaching them how to play the different instruments, that she loves her job. Just like to conclude with the quote that Mr. Morris sent in as a nominee for Mrs. Shinny. And it says, in her inaugural year of teaching, Taylor has demonstrated exceptional dedication, creativity, and passion for music education that truly sets her apart. She has gone above and beyond to organize performances, mentor students, and collaborate with colleagues, all while maintaining an unwavering dedication to excellence. She has grown our program in just 1 year to more than double and now triple the enrollment over the previous year. She possesses a natural gift of connecting with students and instilling in them a deep appreciation for music and for pushing them just enough to get their very best efforts. Through innovative teaching methods and a genuine enthusiasm for her craft, Taylor inspired students to discover the joy of creating music. And so, with this last picture, as she was told that she received this award, board, again, I introduce to you the Secondary Education Teacher of the Year, Miss Taylor Shinny from Snowcrest. I might add that Taylor is the daughter of one of our special ed coordinators, Laura Shinny. So it's in the family. So
Very good.
would you want to?
Yeah. This is my family. With me, I have my dad and my mom. And then I have my little brother, not so little brother, and my older two brothers. All my brothers are here, my older two brothers. They're here to support me. I love my family. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Taylor.
Treats. Clog the band instruments.
Sounds like that's from some personal experience, huh?
Played cornet in junior high. No treats.
I played the cornet. Did you? No sugar. Moving on, Jared Abney, please.
I'm super excited to also recognize Sid Smith as the first year special education teacher of the year, and I'd like her to come up with me. So Sydney is a K2 resource teacher at Birch Creek Elementary. And I guess before I keep going, we're so grateful for Katie Amston and Randy Dunyan and her whole team. They've made it, it was so helpful in gathering information and nominating her. They were just wonderful. But Sydney's also a softball player, a catcher specifically. And she played softball in high school and in college at Colorado Northwest, and also in Utah State University Eastern. And she's currently assistant softball coach at Bonneville High. Katie Amston said that she's a natural. She is the most natural sped teacher she has ever seen. The students absolutely adore her. She collects data and does daily check-in and check-out with her students. She spends extra time completing IEP paperwork to maintain compliance. And she is patient, professional, and a kind special education teacher. One example that they gave of her modeling behavior and working with students, they said, recounting this story, we had a kindergarten student that had trouble walking in the hall appropriately. He would run fast and was somewhat out of control. Sid simply had the student stand behind her and said, see, when I move my foot forward, then you move your foot forward. Let's try. My foot, your foot, my foot, your foot, etc. Then Sid and the student did it together as she sweetly suggested, let's try it. The student is now walking down the hall just as he had been taught. Some of her players said, a second grade boy said, she is really nice, and every time we be good, she gives us chocolate. She is really funny and helps us learn and is really nice. Another girl said, she is really nice and lets us play Legos before we leave her room. And another boy, I love how we do math and how she is really sweet and nice. Here's a picture as a catcher. Your mom was super helpful, Sherry Smith, super helpful in gathering some of these pictures. And again, like our previous, Sherry Smith is also a teacher, a special education teacher. So happy to kind of pass the baton of sorts. Here's a picture of Sid, and what's really amazing is that the paraprofessionals that she works with also love her. Her students love her. And I just have to share, I've been in Sydney's class multiple times, maybe not always how we want, but there's been some really challenging behaviors in her classroom. And I've sat in meetings, I've seen Sydney cry, I've seen her laugh, I've seen her worn out with exhaustion, and you can see by her smile, she always bounces back and takes it on with grit. And this year, sometimes even some of our mature teachers that are struggling with such difficult behaviors kind of cave and kind of give in and want someone to step in and make it all right. She and her team and Katie Amston sat down together and made, I guess, put together solutions and supports for her students. And we've seen great success. Not that the kids are perfect now, but the great success in moving forward. And a lot of that is because of her resiliency, as she's worked with them. As I was speaking, sometimes the day doesn't go as planned. Things happen. I have a little video that I'd like to share, and the volume might be a little bad, but I think you're going to help us. Here's some of the members of her team that she works with every day.
Good morning. These are some of Miss Sydney Smith's students in her classes, and you can see they're part of her team. Can you guys tell me what are some things that you like about Miss Smith's class?
She was like, she had sauce. She was fun because she was like as a treat if we failed, it was a blackout.
Cool.
So she helped us learn. She helped us learn read. She fun.
That's good.
She always like to me, and every time we do something, we say thank you every time. She helps me learn how to. She helps me learn how to read, and she lets us earn prizes and get stickers and treats. She lets us have a one, and when we go back out, we get a big treat.
And what are some of the things that she helps you with?
She helps us us read and be responsible and be kind to others. And she helped us read, she helped us math, she helped us to learn. And so she helped us do math, and so she helped us do hard stuff and learn our ABC and counting up to stuff. And she helped us to help us to feel good because she wanted to be smart, and she wanted us to be smart because she wanted us to get a treat. She helps me with math, and she helps me with math. She helps me read hard words, and she helped me with math problems. She helps me with she helps me with she helps me with reading and she helps others and she helps me.
So from the 80s song Time After Time, I felt like this was really fitting. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting time after time. And Julianne and I want to just tell Sydney thank you for catching our special education kids all year long and being that great teacher for them. We also needed to get some autographs for her from her students. And I still don't know if I can tell the difference between a baseball or a softball glove, but we had them all signed, and we just wanted to thank her and congratulate her.
Okay, I just want to thank my friends and my family. I have so many people here supporting me, and the school staff. And Katie, thank you so much for everything. This has been quite the year. And really, as Jared said, as a school, we really came together after more things came in the way, and we said, okay, this is the plan. And we really worked together. I've said before, I love Weber School District and all the support I've had, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So thank you to everyone here and the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Hales, please.
Superintendent, President Widdowson, and board, it is a privilege to be here tonight with you. And the content of my message is a friend from many, many, many years ago. We'll wait till it pops up there so they get a, there you go, bird's eye view. Jolynn Emerson, Classified Employee of the Year for 2023-24. And the librarian at North Park Elementary. Come on up, Jolynn. This is a friend from lots of years, and so this is a real privilege, actually. I'm going to start where she did. She said, this is kind of my foundation, and this is where I come from. Her family, I'm going to go left to right. Daughter Ashley, an artist and an illustrator. Husband Dan, he works at Northrop Grumman, and she said, he is the kindest person I have ever known. And that's saying something coming from one of the kindest people I've ever known. Jolynn in the middle, our Classified Employee of the Year. Son Brock, engineer at Hill Air Force Base. And daughter Bree, who is actually a teacher at Pioneer Elementary and has worked for Weber School District for 10 years. Before I click the button, I want to tell you, she said when we were talking about her family, she said, you know, we are a tight-knit bunch, and we stay together. So she said that's where I come from, as she had tears in her eyes, just as she does now. Career highlights, let me tell you a little bit about her for just a minute. Notice at the bottom, let's begin with the end in mind here. This young lady, has been in the business for 30 years. 1980 to 1985, she was at Ogden School District as a special ed aide, and then she jumped into the Weber School District at the old North Park. Note that she's circled all the way back around, hasn't she, to the new North Park building. 1994 to 96, she was with the community preschool. From 96 to 2000, she was a Title I aide. And she said she had one of the most wonderful experiences at that time. She was also a fourth grade teacher for quite some time, a long-term sub. She said she loved that year. 2000 to 06, Title I aide at Lakeview Elementary in Roy. 06 to 17, here's where she traveled the district. And here's where I got to know her. At the very last one, she went to Plain City, Country View, Marlon Hills, West Haven, Bates, Midland, Lowman View, Birch Creek, and then to the Valley, where I got to spend some years with her. Counselor's assistant and spectacular. 2017 to present now, the librarian at North Park, and that's where our story for this evening begins. Are you ready? You're going to enjoy this. So I asked her, I said, amazing lady, I said, how does it feel to be Classified Employee of the Year? And in Jolynn fashion, she said, it's humbling, but kind of exciting. And then she did also what Jolynn is the best at. She said, all the good that we enjoy, Dave, always comes from a collection of the wonderful people around us. She said, I feel so lucky to work with the people that I do. But she said it's them that is the reason that I'm here. So always deflecting the good that you do to the wonderful people near you. Most rewarding part of my job, she said, serving the community and their children. I love being able to sponsor the students in their reading. And here it comes, this is where we're going to share in a moment, the end of year activities that go along with meeting and reaching their reading goals. Now, 1 million minutes. How many students, Michelle, at North Park Elementary? A little short of 500. 1 million minutes per year is the goal that this amazing librarian has set for them. So let's click the button and see what happens. Take a look. The reading reward activities, if the children meet their goal, she is the mastermind of creating the most spectacular events that they can't stop reading until they get to 1 million because they want the next thing to happen. Notice the balloon in the very middle of the screen. This lady goes so far as to actually land balloons at the school, right? And she brings the whole entire school out to have presentations while this balloon is being set up and taken down and floated around. I wish that I had remembered to put in Mr. Abney, who was the principal 2 years ago, as he was lifting off in the balloon. He wasn't sure he was coming back, right? You'll notice too, my dear friends, take a look up in the upper left-hand corner. 1 million minutes was the celebration in a local newspaper. And then just really quickly, upper right, we have Tyler Whitesides, a local author. Tell me his name. Stant, the illustrator on the left. What was?
Dan Santant.
illustrator, and then notice Read Across America, March Madness. You got the million-minute counter down below, and then what was the name of that book? You're dressed as Mrs.
I was dressed up as Miss Nilsson is missing.
So she actually will act out the book for the children as well, right? She brings it to life right there in front of them. Then the next part that the kids all kept saying, Mr. Hales, don't forget this part, and it was the North Park Super Bowl Game Show, an annual event that has become a smashing success for the children. They look forward to that. You can see that they're getting ready to participate at different times down at the bottom. And apparently the noise that ensues as the game is going on is quite inviting. So let's do this, dear friends. Let's graduate to the next year, from the hot air balloon to the helicopter. Right? So this young lady, I'm going to actually let KUTV News tell you about it. And my wonderful tech team, would you mind? Here they go.
It's the end of the school year for so many students across Utah. Kids from one elementary school in Roy got a special reward for reaching 1 million minutes of combined reading time between all classes.
Well, their rewards quite literally fell from the sky. Paul Nelson has our Eye on Utah report.
Off in the distance near North Park Elementary School in Roy, something the kids would normally never see. A helicopter headed toward their yard, dropping ping pong balls from the sky. The kids scrambled to pick them up. School librarian Jolynn Emerson set all this up.
I came up with the idea from seeing it years ago done at a parade, and I said, oh, that would be so fun.
On the ping pong balls were numbers that the kids redeemed for prizes they earned after reaching over 1 million minutes of reading in all of their combined classes.
When they met that goal, then I started working out all the logistics of finding a helicopter, getting the ping pong balls, getting prizes.
This was not a simple task. She had to clear it through the Roy City Police Department, the fire department, and the Ogden-Hinckley Airport. But she absolutely loved seeing kids reading in her library.
There is nothing like having a child sit down, read a hard copy book. That is a delight to watch as a librarian. It opens up a world to them.
Principal Jared Abney says this event was a smash hit with the children.
It was so fun. They saw the helicopter come in. Most of our kids have probably never experienced anything like that. They just loved it. It was such a creative way to kind of reward kids for all their hard work.
And they hope this sparked the love of reading with the kids.
We know that reading is such a foundational skill for all kids. And so that's what we hope, is that they'll continue to read and have good memories connected with reading.
Paul Nelson, KUTV 2 News.
Great day.
Jolynn is an updraft, as you can see, with balloons and helicopters in the school and the community. Library themes, another very poignant part of what makes her amazing and such a part of this community. She changes it every year. You can see you've got a safari, you've got Dr. Seuss, you have the Reading Railroad, you have the space, you have the Come With Me Under the Sea, and a snorkel to go with it, and always themed around reading. We're going to play One Young Man. It's his last little phrase that I want you to pay close attention to. We won't do them both. Ellie's kind of quiet, but let's play Ray, and I think Trent can get him loud enough. Will you try it for me?
We're here today with Ray. Hey Ray, could you tell us what your favorite thing is about Mrs. Emerson, our librarian?
I like when there's like a football Super Bowl, she does the football thing, and I like if it's like your birthday, you get to sit on the beanbags. And that was the last thing I was going to say. All the good books we can read. And probably how nice she is.
And probably how nice she is. That has been an absolute theme in everything that was said. Take a look. Thoughts from students. Kylie, I love our librarian. She changes the theme each year. She makes me so excited to come. Derek, she does fun football games each year. It's my favorite. Zariah, she makes my love of reading and going to the library. Jocelyn, she always wants us to be happy and teaches us lessons. Many of those lead her and me, right? Belle, in her writing, she is really nice, kind, and hardworking. She is also, notice the phonemic spelling, also really fun. And then finally from Lacey, I love our librarian, Mrs. Emerson, because Mrs. Emerson tells us stuff we don't know. From Lacey. So cute. Now let's take a few minutes and look at her colleagues. I loved these. And there's a whole database of this. I'll send it all to you. I just picked some. Miss Knudsen. She knows how to connect with students of all ages every time they come into the library. Mrs. Remkus, she teaches our lessons for the 7 habits. Always provides a safe space for the students to feel valued and included. She has high expectations for every child. Miss Ward, I love this. Notice. Jolynn is simply amazing. She has something fun and engaging planned each week in library, and the kids adore her. Mr. Spencer, Mrs. Emerson goes above and beyond. Jolynn has implemented an amazing reading program in our school to help encourage reading and also recognize growth. I love hearing the weekly winners of our student reading minutes, as well as the friendly banter between the teachers. I'm going to skip over to the right and come back to the middle. Mrs. McGurney, she is teaching students how to be better people each and every day. She makes every person feel included and needed at North Park. We truly know that she cares and wants us and will help us in any way. And then finally, a really dear friend of yours who caught me today, Mrs. Jolynn Emerson extraordinaire. I think that Jolynn is a loving, caring, I love this, look at this, full of spitfire kind of spirit, right? She fights for the underdog, makes sure everyone feels included, and above all, looks for the good in every situation. She inspires others, comes to the rescue, and makes sure everyone feels valued. And then from her to you, listen to this, and I know the whole faculty would echo this. I am excited for you, my good friend, to receive this award. I hope that you realize just how much you are appreciated and loved by students, parents, co-workers, and the community. Thanks for being you. Thank you for being such a great example to all of those around you. And then, it wouldn't be complete. Michelle, can you just come over? They're going to take a picture of you in a second anyway. I just think, I'm going to read this, I'm going to hand you the mic, Michelle, and then we're going to show you Jolynn's motto, and we'll hand her award. So, Jolynn is all in, said Mrs. Straight. Her efforts go far beyond the job description of being a librarian, and she is such an important part of what makes North Park a wonderful place to work and learn. She makes our library an exciting place to visit, from character dress-up events on special occasions to drawings for prizes. I love this. You can hear classrooms erupt with enthusiasm throughout our halls when she announces the highest reading minutes each week. And this one, Michelle said, not even the sky is the limit with Jolynn, as evidenced with hot air balloons and helicopters. Need we say more? What would you add?
Oh, I think you're very comprehensive on this one, but one thing that may not be in there is every once in a while I'll go up or Jolynn will come find me and she'll say, hey, I'm worried about so-and-so. I heard this. I think you might need to go check in on him. And that's the kind of person she is. So she is all in. She is North Park embodied, and we are really, really fortunate to have such an amazing lady in our school.
So, dear friends, thanks, Michelle. Here's it. This is the end. Jolynn's motto. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help the next generation along. So, dear friends, congratulations, Jolynn Emerson, Classified Employee of the Year.
Introduce my family. First, I have my wonderful husband of almost 45 years. And then I have my wonderful oldest daughter, Bree, who has followed in a teaching career, which I'm so proud of her, and her 3 amazing little ones that I love so much. And then I have my next daughter, Ashley, who's always taking pictures. My daughters love to take pictures. She's my artist, and I owe so much to her for helping me each year to change out the themes. So it's nice to have an artist, a teacher. And then I also have my son, Brock, and his lovely wife, Haley, and their 2 children. And Ashley has my other 3. So I have 8 grandchildren who I love and adore. the most important thing that I would like my family, and I'm a crier. Dang it. Anyway, I would like them to know that I cannot be the person I am today without each of them being behind me and encouraging me along the way. So my family, I love you. Thank you. To the board and there's so many people that are in this room that I've worked with, and I thank you so much. I have learned so much from you. That was one of probably the most memorable and exciting experiences I had as a counselor's assistant, to go into different classrooms and to learn from teachers, to present character ed lessons. And so thank you that I had the opportunity to rub shoulders with so many. I see some teachers that I've worked with before. So thank you so much, board. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Appreciate it.
Jolene's done 30 years. Can we get to 10 more?
As long as you're barking. Mr. Moore, please.
Superintendent Butters, President Widdowson, Board. At this time, I'd like to present to you the Weber School District Teacher of the Year. I want to invite Mr. Jeff Anderson to come up and join me. I met Jeff right before the board meeting started, and he was a little nervous, he told me. And that's hard for me to believe because this is his 30th year at Fremont. So it's hard to think of a veteran like that having some jitters. So we're going to get started. Like I said, Jeff is he's been at Fremont for 30 years, and we all know this is Fremont 30th year anniversary, and that means that he opened the doors at Fremont. And so this is a special time to present him to you as Teacher of the Year. When I was thinking, I collected information and info on Jeff, and I was reaching out to Principal Alicia Mitchell and others at Fremont. I got a lot. You think of Jeff being there for 30 years, a lot of information. So when I was talking to him tonight, he said, "I hope you didn't get any bad stuff on me." So, but I told him, I said, I think I would have had a hard time finding anything bad. I couldn't find anyone to say anything bad about you, Jeff, so he's in good hands. But he is Fremont. He started at Fremont at the beginning of his career, and he's been there for 30 years, and he made it known a little while ago that he's going to retire at the end of this year. So I want to go ahead and do my presentation and let you know a little bit about Jeff. When I was thinking of all the information I was collecting, the word that came to my mind was impact. And the impact that he has had on Fremont, the impact he has had on the students at Fremont, the impact he have had on the community out at Fremont, and the impact he have had on the colleagues he worked with. This is an example right here of how well people recognize Jeff for the job and the program he built at Fremont. He has been the Utah Music Education Association Choral Vice President in 2008 and through 2010. He was the UMEA State Choral Committee. He was on that committee from 2003 to 2022, and he was the president of the organization from 21 to 23. He also was a member on the National Leadership Assembly Roundtable in 2023. I don't know if you know this, but Jeff has also been the choir director for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Semi-Annual General Conference Choir. He was at in 2006 and 2017, so he did that twice, which I think that's got to be pretty special. He also was selected by the Utah High School Activity Association as a Music Educator of the Year in 2017. He received the Sorensen Legacy Award of Excellence in Art Education in 2020. Now, the impact he has made on the choir program at Fremont just blew me away when I got this information. 30 years he spent at Fremont. The choir program have received 80 Region Superior ratings. Now, in the competition, Superior is the highest rating you can get, and they received 80 over his tenure. 45 State Superior ratings. That's amazing. So that blew me away.
That has to be 46 now.
Okay,
We just
okay.
got a new one on Saturday.
Okay, all right, and I'm gonna look at your principal because she gave me no. Okay, so both of us is off the hook, right, Jeff? Okay, thank you for correcting me though, I appreciate that. So, 46 State Superior ratings, so he haven't stopped. So we appreciate you correcting me on that. I wouldn't want to cheat you out of one of those. They're hard to come by, right? Yeah, so we don't want to short anybody on that. And upon his retirement at the end of the school year, Mr. Anderson would become the conductor of the Bells Choir at Temple Square, which is pretty. And I also want to add to that, you can see him up in the top picture there with his bell group. There's only 2 high schools in the state of Utah that have a bell choir, and Fremont is, am I right on that? In northern Utah, okay. And Fremont is one of those, so I want to congratulate him on creating, building that program as well. You know, I can't think of the memories that, I can't imagine the memories he created for students on the trips that they're taking. Here on the right, they are in Hollywood, California at the Hollywood Bowl. They performed there. And this is an example of Jeff. He's not a one-trick pony. He's in the sound booth doing some sound testing, I guess. So we want to talk about some of the impact he made on the program. It says, Mr. Anderson has profoundly impacted music education. He pours himself into his work. He knows how to motivate and to influence. There is hardly a Civil Wolf graduate out there who doesn't know the very talented Mr. A. I thought that was a powerful compliment. Impact he's made on his colleague. I'm just going to, I'm not going to read all of this. Mr. Anderson has demonstrated exceptional leadership and is an agent of change at Fremont High School, fostering a tight-knit group of teachers that has produced countless memorable musicals and performances in the community. His ability to inspire and collaborate has been instrumental within the department in creating a culture of excellence. Another comment, this is the one that really touched me. He said, Jeff Anderson is the heart of Fremont. He has not only devoted 30 years to the school, he has devoted his life to it. He has been my friend for 30 years. He has a passion for music that cannot be matched. He works with all students, not just the very gifted. There is always room for another student wanting to have an experience in music in his classroom. And I thought that was powerful. Because this is from a resource teacher, which means he's working with kids on all levels and teaching them the love of music. Jeff inspires greatness from everyone he works with. His kindness and dedication has made Fremont better in every way. He has a way of helping people feel that they are important. He makes me want to be a better teacher in person. Mr. Riley, and this is a chemistry teacher commenting on him. That shows the impact he made at the school with his colleagues. Let's talk about the impact he's made on students. Comment from a student says, Mr. Anderson is unlike any other teacher I've met. He has an astonishing knowledge of music. It's an honor to learn from him. He has created a classroom that is a safe haven. I thought that was really important for everyone. Being in his class has been one of the best part of my high school experience. It's an honor to be a student. Sarah said, Mr. A loves the students. We know we have a place to go and someone to talk to. He is the soul of Fremont, and he will be missed. And I heard that several times. The soul or the heart of Fremont was the term that I heard often when I got information on Mr. Anderson. Another comment from Troy. Mr. Anderson is the most amazing teacher I ever had. He cares about everything we're doing. And then last comment is Mr. A is one of the most caring and welcoming people on earth. I have cherished every opportunity that I've gotten to hang out and feel his love in class, and wish him a big congratulations on this award. And up in the picture there, you got his choir. I think that's probably at State Festival. And it looked like here in the bottom right is a parade float. You on? Yeah, homecoming float. Okay. And I want to share another comment that I recorded when we went out to present him his award, and Superintendent Butters, like she did with the other teachers, asked the students. If I can take a minute to pull that up. I recorded this. I hope I don't get in trouble. It played for me earlier, but it won't play now, so I'm gonna skip that. So we'll go to the next slide. Impact on the community. If you look at the right here, there's a boar's head, and there's a story behind that. Principal Mitchell shared that with me. Every year around the Christmas holidays, Jeff and his class, they do a show, and it's the Dickens. They call it a holiday feast. And part of the table decor is a boar's head, I'm sorry. This was right after COVID, and it was hard to find a boar's head. Mr. A found one at a meat store in the area, and they reserved it for him. So he showed up to pick up the boar's head, and he's in line because there was a line of people before him, and they sold the boar's head to the person right before him, thinking it was Mr. A. So when Mr. A got up there, they asked him, "What can I help you with?" He said, "I'm here to pick up my boar's head." And he said, "I just sold it." And he said, "I thought you was that person." And and so anyway, that store scrambled to find another one, and they found one in Tooele. And this was the day of the show. So he hops in his car and he beat it to Tooele, get the boar's head, and makes it back to in time to decorate and be ready for the show. So that shows his commitment. But here's some comments on the impact he's made on the community. So over the years, his influence has extended far beyond the classroom. He is leaving a permanent mark on the performing art department and the entire school community. Another comment by the secretary in the office, Ms. Stanger. So at the end of the final legacy concert each year, he has the alumni come up to the stage and sing the school song with the current class. Mr. A can remember students by name, first and last, what year they attended, and specific details about them. And I think that sums him up. Last comment, it says, this has never just been just a career for Jeff. This is a lifestyle. He leaves the sound of the pack with enormous legacy. He leaves an indelible mark on the community and to all who have had the privilege to work alongside him. And that's from Miss Obrey, the theater teacher at Fremont. The red jacket. I don't know if he expected me to show the red jacket, but this is where I maybe got a little bit of something on him right here. Miss Mitchell shared the story in the red jacket, so let me read this to you. The Red Jacket Story. The story is centered around the Silver Serenade Choir, which is all girls. Many years ago, they was working through some music that required them to be glamorous while singing or give that countenance. The kid kept talking about how they needed to wear a red sequence glove in order to properly pull off the singing song for their performance. That would help them to have the right body language and attitude in their performance delivery. Moving forward, well, because of the relationship that Mr. Anderson has with the class, the nature of the song really needed an element of glamour while on stage. Jeff took off the jacket, revealing the glamorous red sequence jacket that the students had given him. It has been a tradition ever since during the spring concert. Mr. Anderson wore the red sequence jacket for this performance. So that's another tradition he started. I don't know who's following him, but I think they might be expected to wear the red jacket. So, one thing that impressed me about the information I collected was there were several videos or slides where, you know, a devoted teacher, coach, or choir director like Jeff could easily spend so much time away from home, rehearsing and performing. He found a way to include his family, and I was really impressed by that. If you look to the left, he's helping his daughter get prepared for a play. I think all your daughters went to Fremont, is what I was told, right, and was in your program. So what an opportunity to be able to share this experience and to take your family along with you. The center picture is his wife. I think they might have been on a trip and they was having a meal together. And the right picture is Jeff, probably several years ago. Okay, I'm looking at the dark hair, so, okay. So the first year teaching with one of his daughters. So he found a way to build a program, but also included his family, and that really impressed me. I asked Jeff in the end, what impact did he want to make on his students, and what did he want his students to take away from their experience by being in his program or being in his class? And this is the response. He said, I want them to know I'm invested in them and hope for their successes. I want my students to remember how they felt in my classroom and on stage. I want them to remember the process. I want them to remember the thrill of working, the thrill of knowing that they had performed their best. Then this is a piece that I really I felt was appropriate to close on. It says, music changed life. They have been part of the music experience. The best payback is that they use the skills learned in my class to impact the lives of others. So I talked about the impact that Jeff has made out at Fremont over his time, but I think he also wished that his student experience by being in his class and in his program will impact other lives like he has. And that's just great. I love that. Okay, I'm going to close with a comment from Principal Alicia Mitchell. Said, Jeff has selflessly shared his incredible love and passion for music with so many generations of students over the last 30 years in Fremont community. He creates magic. It is something to behold and to truly know it affects the human soul. I'm going to skip down a little bit. It says, this program is beautiful, and it provides strength and a sense of belonging to the students who is part of it. It will live on within the heart of Fremont High School. The Silver Wolves are so incredibly lucky that a brand new, fresh out of college, Jeff Anderson said yes to Gary Reed 30 years ago when Fremont opened its doors. Words don't adequately express what he has given to our community. We are incredibly grateful for his service, his leadership, and his unending love for Fremont High School. And that was a comment from Principal Mitchell. So Jeff, I want to congratulate you on being Teacher of the Year in the Weber School District. Well deserved, and we're going to miss you. Will you introduce your family?
Sure. So with me tonight is my beautiful wife, Marita, of 32 years, and my daughter Addison and my daughter Kaysen. They're right there next to Mrs. Mitchell and Mr. Mitchell right there.
Ms. Mitchell, will you come up and make a comment about Mr. Anderson? I think it would be appropriate.
I think the final thing I would like to say to Jeff is just thank you, first and foremost. And then lastly, I can't imagine spending my entire career in one place. And so we're just so incredibly lucky to have had you at Fremont. The foundation that you have laid for us is it's vast, it's wide. And so I want to just thank you. Our entire community has been affected by you, so thank you.
Let's give all of these wonderful teachers another hand. We would like to also recognize Emily Euler and our wonderful Weber School District Foundation and Mr. Tony Davino. Tony and Cynthia Davino, he and his company give us a sizable cash award to each of these teachers, and he does so much for our district, and we really appreciate his investment and what he does for us. Now, I know everybody wants to stay here as we hammer through a bunch of policies and procedures, but why don't we take about 5 minutes or so, congratulate everyone that's received their awards, and if you folks would like to take off after that, you're more than welcome, and we'll do policies without you. So. Thanks. We'll reconvene in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yep.
Coming and being with us tonight. Cool. All right, we're going to move in to our board meeting open public comment portion of the meeting. We've had 2 people sign up tonight to speak with us, and we'll start with Jennifer, please.
I feel like I should be offended. Everybody left. Okay.
Because your mic was off.
Huh?
Your mic was off.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. Okay. Is my timer started? My timer started!
Yes.
Hello, Superintendent Butters, President Widdowson, and the board. Today I'm speaking on behalf of the Weber Education Association, on behalf of educators, but I'm also speaking on behalf of myself as a teacher for 29 years in Weber School District. And I want to start off with a quote. And it's one written by Francis Bacon, not to be confused with Kevin, who was in our state earlier this. But he said this: "Time is the greatest innovator." And there are several ways to interpret that, but I'm thinking about it today because of the proposed new early out schedule, which would have elementary schools leaving at 12:15 or releasing at 12:15, and secondary schools releasing at 1:15. I'm in schools at least 3 times a week. I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds, and I mean hundreds of educators, including classroom teachers, administrators, counselors, SLPs, and they all tell me the same thing. What they need more than anything else, although, Robert, they do need more money, is time. They need time. They need time to innovate. They need time to learn, time to educate, time to collaborate, time to take a deep breath and plan lessons and activities that are good for students. When I have spoken with elementary teachers, especially, the biggest conundrum has been this: they want time, but they don't want to lose instructional time. That's because they're dedicated. But the great thing about this proposal is that it takes an hour from Wednesday, which is already a day that elementary teachers have adapted. This is what they told me, and this is the first time I've heard overwhelmingly that this isn't a schedule they could get on board with. They liked that because they thought the small loss of instructional time would be well worth the gain in preparation, especially if it could free up mornings and afternoons. You probably know this, but since 2020, the contract has stated that there will be a commitment on the part of the district to find creative ways to increase preparation time. This proposal before you today honors that commitment. And the reality is this: all educators are being asked to do more and more, but we're not given any more time to do it. Administrators are being asked to do more and more with less time. Now that school starts earlier again, they have very little time before school to teach, inform, lead their school. And mornings are not optimal meeting times because it's difficult to focus on heavy topics or time-intensive topics, and then they have to shift gears and be in the right headspace for their students. Recently, I attended a conference with other secondary educators in the district. It was led by Bob Sanju, the PLC guru, and he reinforced the need for consistent, quality time in order to do PLCs correctly. We cannot do the work we need to do without time carved out, set aside. So I want to end with a quote from another great philosopher, Taylor Allison Swift, and she said, "Time turns flames to embers." I don't know if she meant it like this, but I'm pretty sure she was talking about education because we have a lot of metaphorical flames to put out, sometimes literal flames to put out, but with time comes a cooling down and reflection. Time comes collaboration, data review, time comes deliberate and careful planning. Time comes quality, with time comes PLCs done right, and with time comes embers that steadily heat and do their job rather than destroy. So I hope you'll vote yes today and make my dreams come true and many others. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, Mr. Brandon Richards, please. Just while you're walking up, remind you 3 minutes. And okay, let us know where you're from and
Sure, and Superintendent,
what
President,
school?
Board, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I live just right up the street here in South Ogden. I have 5 children. One has graduated from Bonneville. He's off to college now. I have 4 children currently going to schools in the district. A senior at Bonneville, a 9th grader and 7th grader at South, and then one at HGI. And so I've been on the community council at South and Bonneville for many years now. So I try to get involved a little bit as well. And then finally, but most importantly, my wife also teaches at H-Sky in the 3rd grade. So that's a little bit about me. I mostly, and I'm not going to take the entire time, I just wanted to speak in favor also of this schedule adjustment proposal that's coming up, because I think it's going to help with teacher workload and some of the mental health toll that I can see a little bit with teachers. My wife, and I think it was a good opportunity to speak today because of all the awards to all these great teachers. I think every teacher that I know of just loves the students and will put in whatever time necessary to help those students. And I see it with my wife at the soccer games for my kids, grading papers and just doing whatever it takes. And I appreciate that and respect that. But at the same time, I see that it does take a bit of a toll on her, and I think it does on all teachers. And so I think anything that can ever be done to help teachers have more preparation time is a great thing. And so I think the proposal tonight does something to help with that. It gives them some additional preparation time that they can spend during their workday instead of at home. And so I would be in favor of that. And then anything else that comes along that can help teachers be more prepared to help these kids. And that's it. But I want to thank you guys for all you do for the students and teachers as well. So thank you for giving me a minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. Appreciate that. Take your sweetheart and go away for a weekend. Make sure she doesn't take a red pencil or any papers. Thank you.
Just go ahead and give it to Mr. Hells. He'll take care of it.
There's no other people who have signed up for our comment, our board comment tonight, so we'll move on to some items under our agenda. If I can get my tongue out of the way, I'll keep speaking. Heather Nelson, the approval of the English Language Arts adoption process in response to Senate Bill 127, please.
I feel a little unprepared. I don't have a Taylor Swift quote to start out with, but President Whittison, Superintendent Butters, and board, as you know, we're in the middle of a textbook adoption, and it's a pleasure for me to stand before you and report on the great work that has been done by our instructional review committee. So as you know, during the 2022 general session, the legislature passed Senate Bill 127, and this bill was titled Early Literacy Outcomes Improvement. And it focuses on improving literacy, instruction, and outcomes in kindergarten through the 3rd grade. This bill requires USBE to provide certain things, and you can see on the slide here, they need to provide literacy coaching to schools with low literacy achievement performance. They need to establish a science of reading panel to provide input on best practices, and they need to provide advanced professional learning opportunities in the science of reading, which is letters. But it also has requirements for LEAs and districts. And so districts must adopt a curriculum that aligns with the science of reading principles as outlined by USBE guidelines by next school year, 24-25. Our current elementary ELA curriculum, Journeys, does not meet these requirements. And so to ensure that we are compliant with the law, we need to adopt a new elementary ELA curriculum. We started this process by reviewing Senate Bill 127 and the guidance that was provided by USBE following Senate Bill 127. We also reviewed the learning materials policy, Policy 8800 for Weber School District. And USBE has come out with an approved curriculum list for Utah for primary and instruction, or primary and supplemental materials. So we did a review of what was available on that list. Senate Bill 127 and the USB Science of Reading Evidence Informed Core Criteria Checklist, that's a mouthful, was used to establish our rubric for used to evaluate these programs, and we released our RFP on January 22nd, and it was due back by February 12th. We had 4 companies reply to the RFP: CKLA, Into Reading, Super Kids Foundational Skills, and Wonders. It's important to note that all 4 programs were reviewed and vetted by USBE and met the requirements of Senate Bill 127. It's also important to note that all 4 programs are approved as comprehensive core curricular programs by USBE. So as outlined in Policy 8800, an initial review district instructional materials review committee was put together to ensure that all 4 programs met the minimum mandatory requirements outlined in the RFP. And Super Kids Foundational Skills was eliminated because it only offered core content in K through 2. So we, CKLA, Into Reading, and McGraw-Hill Wonders all had progressed to the next stage and underwent an in-depth evaluation by the Instructional Materials Review Committee, so that larger committee. On May 5th, we all came together at WIC and we attended vendor presentations and reviewed technical proposals by each curriculum provider. Teachers, they took this really seriously and they piloted materials in their classrooms between March 5th and April 17th. And then on April 17th, we got together virtually. We did it virtually so we could have great participation and everybody showed up. Each person was able to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of each program and give a recommendation to the group. And then on April 18th, the committee members submitted their completed rubric. We had them do one for each program, and they were due by 4:00 p.m. So we wanted to make sure that all stakeholders had the opportunity to provide input. So the materials from every company were on display in the Curriculum and Instruction Conference Room during the entire adoption. We also, when we were reviewing materials. And then we also had information on our curriculum website where they could get in and they could check out the demo accounts for both teachers and students. In addition, we had 2 public open houses, and you can see how we advertise those on the slide. And this gave stakeholders the opportunity to interact directly with the materials and ask vendors questions. We also had a QR code and a paper copy where they were able to offer feedback that was reviewed by the Instructional Materials Review Committee. So when we total up the points for the rubric, you can see that Wonders has the highest number of points at 4,086, followed by CKLA at 3,803, and then Into Reading at 3,614 points. When we did our cost comparison, you can see that there's quite a bit of difference in cost. Amplify CKLA is priced at $5,194,382.72, President. And then followed by, and it's important to note that that's for an 8-year option for the contract, and that professional development was an additional $3,200. HMH Into Reading comes in at just over $2.8 million, and there's an option for professional development at an additional cost of $5,200. And then McGraw-Hill Wonders came in at $3,344,340.15, and it includes all professional development. They'll give us 51 days. So considering all of these factors, the Curriculum and Instruction Department recommends McGraw-Hill Wonders grades K through 5 as the approved primary core instructional materials for elementary literacy.
Thank you. Board, we've been asked to approve the recommendation to adopt McGraw-Hill Wonders as our district's new English Language Arts elementary curriculum for grades K to 5. Do I have a motion? Doug, second. Jan, any discussion from anybody, comments? Discount?
We should ask for a discount. I'll ask. I'll see what I can get.
Jan, go ahead.
I just want to commend our curriculum department for the hard work and really comprehensive, in-depth work that they did on this adoption, and really digging deep on getting all voices heard. So thank you very much on that.
Okay, let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks. You snuck away. Moving on, Brock Mitchell and Mary Jo Williams, please.
All right, Board President, Superintendent, and board members, we are here before you tonight to make a recommendation on the proposed early outs for next school year. We wanted to talk a little bit about some of the input that we've received, some adjustments that have been made since our study session discussion last month. I'll obviously hit the secondary, Mary Jo will hit some of the elementary, and then just highlight a couple of the benefits that we see going forward with this. A few things that we've talked to many educators, and I appreciate Jenny and Mr. Richards for their words up here. There's a lot of asking for that time, and things that they're looking for are those enhanced collaborative efforts, working both across grade and curriculum, but also vertically from grade to grade or level to level at the secondary, because a lot of times we work in isolation in education, and that's something that as part of our superintendent's forward-thinking plan is breaking that isolation and really working collaboratively to make sure that our educators are getting the most out of each other and learning from each other, because when our educators are improving, our students will benefit and will improve as well. We want to be able to have them share those instructional strategies, embed new knowledge, those daily routines into their instruction. It's a piece that we're fully bought into, and we've got so many positive pieces of feedback, and I think the impact's going to be widely felt in our district. Just hitting the secondary, just to clarify that component, currently we have 2 early outs per month this school year. What we're asking for at the secondary level is to have a weekly Wednesday early out that would be at 1:15, and the adjustment in time there is going to allow for the elementary to make some changes that Mary Jo will talk to. I wanted to break down just to give you guys a better understanding. I've had a couple of teachers reach out about potential loss of instructional time because they think the more early outs we have, we'll lose instructional time compared to the one every other week. And as I sat down and I pulled every secondary school's bell schedule, I looked at the amount of instructional time. I didn't look at our professional development days or our comp days, which count into our days for the 990. I looked at truly when are students face-to-face with their teachers. And I looked at every school, their bell schedules this year, and then some proposed standardized across the district bell schedules for next year. And every one of our secondary schools gains instructional time, face-to-face instructional time next year. The high schools gain an average of 11 hours of instructional time next year, and our junior highs gain an average of instructional time of 21 hours, and that's students face-to-face with their teachers. Now that's not 21 hours per period, but it's 21 total hours that they're actually in front of students with this adjustment. And adding in the professional development days, that the secondary level, we're easily over 1,015 hours according to the state's 990 calculations. So we are safely in and in compliance with the state's numbers on the secondary side of things.
So I have to echo what Mr. Richards said earlier, is that we are lucky enough to have teachers who are dedicated and want to do what's best for students, and often they do it at the expense of their own time with their families and other things like that, and though we appreciate them, we do want to be able to provide time for them to implement things that they are learning that are going to help them improve their practice and their craft. And so having this dedicated time every Wednesday to allow them to meet together, to meet with their admins, to differentiate that PD that they need, we think is invaluable for our educators. We realize that it will come at the cost of a little bit of instructional time, but we feel like having better prepared our teachers, that they'll be able to kind of work smarter, not harder, I think is what comes to mind with that. One of the other things that is going to be beneficial for us in elementary, and I would imagine also in secondary, is that this not only allows administrators in their buildings to provide help and support, but it allows the district to know that this PD is happening at specific times throughout all of our schools, and we can also use the district to help support that PD and that ongoing professional development. Those are some of the key things for elementary. There is a slight adjustment on the memo that we need to to make sure is understood that our current schedule right now is that we dismiss every Wednesday at 1:15, and the proposed schedule is that we would continue to dismiss at 12:15. That should be 12:20, so that's 5 minutes later, or 5 minutes more, I guess you could say, as opposed to what it says on your memo. The other thing I liked too was that not only can this impact our teachers, but it can impact other staff that are in our schools, that we now have time when they're still there in our buildings, that we can provide professional development, for them also, and help them also be better at what they do, because they're a foundational piece of what we do to help educate those children in our schools. Do you have any questions for us?
Janice, you have a question.
My question, and it seems like you have responded to it, has been the expression from seasoned teachers that they will lose instructional time. And that is frustrating to them, feeling that that's more critical than whatever collaborative time. That's a big concern for them. Have you, as leaders, as organizers of the project, of the committee, considered that, and you have come away saying you feel that this weighs heavier positively to changes so that there is less instructional time?
On the secondary level, I had 2 educators reach out to me in the last week, and one of those misconceptions they had was that loss of instructional time. As I laid out, and I day by day for their specific school, because they are obviously concerned with that one school. The time that school actually gains by going weekly is over 12 hours of instructional time that they're gaining by going weekly. And that is by focusing in on the specific class period lengths and the specific advisory length, and this is at a high school, and not having extra time during passing periods. Every minute that we have as an additional time during a passing period, it's 4 minutes per day, but over the course of a year, adds up to multiple hours of lost instructional time. And so they don't realize, I think teachers sometimes, the impact that 1 minute makes in a class period over the course of that year. And so by standardizing this schedule across all of our schools, it helps to mitigate any lost time and bring all of our schools into alignment. And like I said, that one school where I've heard from 2 teachers, they're gaining 12 hours over the course of a year, which is not, again, 12 hours per period, but in that one teacher's class, that's over an hour and a half of additional instructional time over the course of the year. And how they choose to use that, hopefully, is something that they find beneficial.
May I, President, Board, may I respond? We have wonderful educators in our district across the board. We also have a lot of new educators in their first 3 years. We have educators that are facing different challenges right now, teaching children. They need tools in their toolkit. And I can see a couple of faces in the audience where we've met with teachers that have had these concerns, and I so appreciate meeting with teachers, and especially those that are so dedicated to their craft, and they're concerned about the loss of instructional time. We need to leverage our best teachers' skill sets. And it's hard to do that when they're in their classroom. We need them to share the great knowledge and skills and expertise that they have. And so as we move to kind of a coaching model, an instructional coaching model in our district, we're going to leverage those great teachers to help increase the capacity of all. So I believe when our teachers are at their best, they're going to bring out the best in our kids. I really believe this will move our district in a positive direction if they'll just give it a chance. I really do.
Gina? One thing I heard as we adopt a new reading program is that our teachers need time to be able to dive in and learn about the program as well.
Yes, yes.
And so that's one thing I heard in the elementary ranks, is that where do I find time to learn about programs that you're asking me to adopt?
Right. So you've got the new ELA curriculum. You also have many teachers that are still finishing up their letter certification from Senate Bill 127.
Exactly.
So, you know, until we can get everybody up to that same level and capacity, they need time.
I think I would just reiterate what's been said here and what Jenny also said as far the bulk of the people that we're hearing from are asking for more time for these reasons that have been discussed. And I feel like what better show on our part that we're listening to them and trying to accommodate and find ways that we can help support them than to provide that time for them.
Brock, Mary Jo, you asked me if this works. It don't work. That works. I like the fact that you're getting more time, as was just explained. Will they have discretionary choices on how they use it, or is there going to be guidance given to them on how that is used? So we're not doing what you mentioned and just letting it go away. Okay, perfect.
And
I think it works.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge we're willing to take on as the elementary and secondary directors, is ensuring that our administrators understand our vision, the superintendency's vision, the board's vision, and then aligning their trainings to what's important in their school, but it's utilizing the time that they have to make sure that they're moving their schools forward.
Can I just say one thing? Thank you two, for the depth that you've gone to through this study. To pull out every school schedule in every bell schedule, I think that shows the depth of what we're trying to do and trying to meet the contract that we know we have obligation to. So thank you very much for what you've done.
So I guess officially we need to recommend that we put in front of the board the request for approval of the proposal to move with the early out schedule for elementary and secondary starting next year.
Thanks, Brock. Board, it's been recommended to us that we approve the elementary and secondary early out Wednesday schedule as proposed.
So moved.
John, second. Bruce. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks. And Brock, you get to stay right there.
I do. All right. Board, last month there was a request by Roy High and some community members to open a study on a recommendation for the naming of the baseball field at Roy High School for a former coach. And per policy 6600, which we know is under review, being worked on by our wonderful compliance and legal departments. But following the guidelines of what was there previously, we put a committee together that included myself as the chair, Mr. Hadley, our facilities executive director, administrators from Roy High, community members, and board member Jan Burrell. The committee met. They discussed the impact that Coach Fred Thompson made in the community on the student athletes. We heard from many community members. We had quite a few letters come in. I know there have been quite a few in touch with Jan through this process. Through the discussion, suggestions were put together. Through board policy, there is a stipulation that 3 recommendations come towards the board with a prioritized recommendation, and the committee felt that this was something they wanted to move forward with. And the 3 recommendations that they wanted to put in front of the board were Fred Thompson Field, Coach Fred Thompson Field, and Fred Thompson Family Field. The committee prioritized and puts to the board the recommendation of the formal naming of the Roy High baseball field for Coach Fred Thompson, with that official name recommendation being Fred Thompson Field.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions or comments from anyone on that one? I'd look for a motion from the board to,
Jan.
oh.
You already got
Oh. Okay, for the naming of the field. Second. John.
Yes, we got the Roy's people on board here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Brock. Okay, Heather Hardy, please. We have some policies to review.
Just a few tonight.
We need to get you a stool to sit on.
Oh, I don't need a stool.
Quite a few?
Here we go.
Just a few, just a few.
There you go. You want me to hold this microphone? I'll go ahead and do that. We'll be fine here. Hello, Superintendent Butters, Board President Whittison, and Board. I only have 6 policies for tonight. I have 3 on a second reading and 3 on a first reading. We'll start with our policy 4175, which is a new policy. It's our home and hospital policy. This policy is a new policy that lists the services that are provided to students who are receiving home and hospital instruction. I did have a little bit of feedback after our first reading, so there's some small changes made to this policy. One was to include that students on the home and hospital instruction need to abide by Weber School District policies, and that home and hospital instructors are not required to do the makeup work, and they were tutor on the current work that they should be working on the students with. And this policy has been requested by the Student Services Department and the Legal Department, and we're seeking board approval of this policy 4175, home and hospital, on a second read.
Thank you. Board, I'd look for a motion to approve 4175, policy 4175, home and hospital, on a second reading. Janice? Doug, thank you. Any discussion on that or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, moving on. Next policy is an update on policy 4370, graduation requirements. This policy was revised last in June of 2023, so we just have a few updates to this policy so we can comply with board rules. We did add a section on page 8 and 9 that discusses the credit evaluation committee. This was added so we can address how credits will be awarded at institutions not following under the direct supervision of Weber School District. This policy has been requested by the curriculum department, the student services department, and the legal department. And we're seeking board approval of this policy 4370, graduation requirements, on a second read.
Thank you. I would ask for a motion to approve policy 4370, graduation requirements, on a second reading. Jan, Bruce, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Go
All
ahead.
right, our next new policy on a second read is policy 6150, media and public relations. This is a new policy that addresses media inquiries and third-party requests to film, photograph, and interview students. We have not had any changes that were made to this policy since the first reading. This policy was requested by the Community Relations Department, and we're seeking board approval of policy 6150, media and public relations, on a second read.
Okay, board, I'd ask for a motion to approve the new policy 6150 on a second reading. Janice, Bruce, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, next we have 3 policies on a first read. The first one is a new policy, 4650, homeschool policy. This policy outlines the requirements for parents wishing to homeschool their students, also defines the services that will be provided to students on homeschool instruction. The legal department has requested this policy, and we are seeking board approval of this policy on a first read.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the approval of policy 4650, homeschool, on a first reading. John and Doug, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, next we have policy 6450, memorial policy. This is on a first reading. This is a new policy that outlines acceptable and unacceptable memorials in the event of a student or staff death. This policy prohibits the promotion, sponsorship, or support of memorials, but outlines acceptable and unacceptable forms of honoring the deceased. And this has been requested by our legal department, so we're seeking board approval of this policy 6450, memorial policy, on a first read.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the approval of new policy 6450, memorial, on a first reading. Jan and Janice, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, our last policy for the night is our policy update on 8350, student electronic device policy. This is this is a brand new policy, but it is replacing our previous policy 8350, which was digital media devices. So we have renamed this policy to student electronic device policy. And this policy addresses prohibited uses of privately owned devices during instructional time and school-related activities, as well as permitted uses of electronic devices during school and school-related activities. Students are expected to keep their privately owned devices on silent mode and out of sight during prohibited use. Elementary students are able to use their devices after school hours, and secondary students are able to use their devices before and after school, in between class and lunch. We have had lots of feedback and input into creating this policy from administrators and teachers, and our legal department has requested this update, and we're seeking board approval of this policy, 8350, student electronic device policy, on a first read.
Okay, board, I would ask for a motion for the approval of policy 8350, student electronic device, on a first reading. Someone like to make that motion? Yes, Jan. A second?
You want to second it?
I'll second it.
Second it.
We can have discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to discussion.
Yeah, we have several board members that have some input on that, so
Okay.
we'll throw this under advisement, but go ahead.
Heather, I think on this policy, one of the issues, I think, as we look at emergency use of those phones, I think we're going to go down a road that's going to be very difficult to end if we try to define every single emergency and try to make a definition of what that emergency is. So I think we ought to take that under advisement and take some time to reevaluate whether we want that statement in any part, just the emergency use segment.
All right, thank you for that feedback.
Anyone else?
That's my same thing, Heather, is the fact that if we get in a situation, I don't want to be liable that says, listen, we know there's a policy, and I could have made a call on an emergency or situation that was a medical issue, and a policy holds that. I just as soon eliminate that and let them make that call, and then we deal with it later. But
I think, Heather, there's just so many ramifications that will come in addition to what this one little statement will create.
So, and we can bring that up in our next policy committee meeting, and I'll include the secondary and elementary directors in that meeting as well.
Great.
So we can get feedback before a second read.
Any further discussion on that? Good input.
I believe we'll have lots of input as they'll be sending this policy out. We have made a couple of revisions in our policy committee meeting, and so our administrators do need another chance to look at this before our second read. So I do anticipate there'll be more feedback and changes before our second read.
that's why we got the process.
Yep.
We probably have to have more counselors for the mental issues, and we tell them to turn the phones off.
Maybe. Jan, did you have a comment? No. Okay. Let's see, we got our motions. All in favor of approving this on a first reading? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Got a little work to do on that one, but it'll be
Yes.
good. Wonderful. Okay, moving on. Board, we now need to recess this meeting as a Weber School District Board of Education. If I could have a motion to do so.
So moved.
John and Janice for a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we will convene now as a Board of Trustees of the Local Building Authority of the Weber School District. I need a motion to do that. Jan, second. Doug, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now that we're convened as that local building authority, we need to approve the minutes of the local building authority meeting from the meeting on the 7th of February 2024. Can I have a motion for that? John, second. Bruce, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll now initiate a public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive input from the public with respect to the issuance of up to $60 million of lease revenue bonds and the potential economic impact the finance project will have on the private sector. The finance project consists of acquiring, constructing, and improving 1, the Roosevelt Elementary, a replacement in Washington Terrace, Utah, and 2, a portion of the new elementary, Haven Bay, to be located in West Haven, Utah. Each person desiring to participate in this public portion of our meeting will have up to 3 minutes to give their input to us. Is there anyone who would like to or signed up to do that? Okay, thanks, Pam. All right, well, we have no comments, so I will, I will ask for a motion to now close this public hearing.
So moved.
So moved. John, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That was easy, thank you. In order to comply with section 11-14-103 of the local building authority of Weber School District, it's required to make the following statement. The local building authority of Weber School District intends to issue a lease revenue bonds in the estimated amount not to exceed $60 million for the purpose of A, financing certain costs of acquiring, constructing, and improving 1, the Roosevelt Elementary replacement in Washington Terrace, Utah, and 2, a portion of the new elementary to be located in West Haven, Utah. B, if desired, providing capitalized interest to pay the portion of the interest accruing on the bonds during the acquisition, construction, and improvement of the project, and C, paying the cost relating to the issuance and sale of the bonds. We have no formal vote needed for that. I would ask that you consider and approve the resolution to hold a public hearing on June 12th, 2024, sometime after 6 p.m. with respect to the proposed $60 million maximum principal amount of lease revenue bonds and providing for related matters. I'd ask for a motion to approve that. Doug, a second. Bruce, any discussion on that or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now, I would now ask for a motion to adjourn as the local building authority of the Weber School District. I need a motion for that. Janice, a second. Jan, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now, we need to reconvene as the Weber School District Board of Education. I need a motion for that. John, Jan, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Legislators.
Board, we now have a need to convene in a closed session. I ask, this closed session is a strategy session to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. And Board, I would ask for a motion to convene in a closed session. And we need to have a roll call vote by Dr. Peterson.
Thank you. Just say yes or no when I call your name. Jan?
Yes.
Bruce? Yes. Janice? Yes. Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Paul?
Yes.
Very good.
We got a first. Who was the second? Bruce. Okay. Thank you. We appreciate everyone coming tonight, and have an enjoyable evening, what's left of it. Thank you.